This grow light has more than 16,000 5-star reviews. And I don't know if you're like me, but I've ended up on Amazon when I'm looking to buy a grow light, and it seems like every grow light has thousands of 5-star reviews. So I decided to buy 5 of the highest rated grow lights on Amazon, and starting today, we're gonna test them to see which ones actually grow the best. So getting started with environment number 1, this is the Going, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, grow light. It has 22,000 reviews and a 4.5 star rating, and it comes in at a price point of only $29.99. So I'm just gonna set it up in my seed starting rack and put a piece of cardboard between it and the next environment so that we can see how well it does. And I'm sure you're wondering, what seeds will I be starting underneath it? So in each environment, I've filled up 9 3-inch seed cells with my Mind and Soil version 4.0 seedling mix. And then in each environment, I've started tomatoes, because we all love tomatoes, broccoli, because this seed gets a little bit more leggy if the grow light isn't strong enough, and lastly, butter crunch lettuce, because if the grow light is not strong enough and giving enough light to the plants, it's going to tell us by showing how leggy it gets. And once I placed the seeds into the seed cells, I just covered them with a little bit more seedling mix, gave them some water, and then put the seeds under the grow light. And to keep things even, I'm gonna keep all of the lights in every environment 6 inches away from the top of the foliage. And we're gonna talk a lot more about this over the course of the video. For environment number 2, I'm gonna go with this Sansi grow light. It has more than 6,000 reviews and a 4.5 star rating and a price point of $33. And part of why I'm really curious to try this grow light out is because I've never utilized a single bulb like this before. And while I am skeptical about how well it will work, if it's gotten that many 5-star reviews, maybe there's something to learn from that. Now for environment number 3, we're going with these BARRINA tubes. They have more than 25,000 reviews and a 4.6 star rating, and they come in at a price point of $47.99. Now I really like the fact that these are slightly longer at 2 feet in length, and that I get multiple tubes so I can cover a larger area of seedlings. So I am bullish that these ones will perform quite well. However, what I will say is that when I was getting these set up, it doesn't come with any attachment besides zip cords. So I need to zip these onto the bottom of my shelf, and then I'll need to move my seedlings down over the course of the next month. So that gives me just less flexibility, which I'm not a huge fan of. All right, now for environment number 4, we are going to the more advanced end of the spectrum with this Mars Hydro panel board. It has more than 20,000 reviews and a 4.6 star rating, but it also cost me $324. Now what I love about this at first glance is that it covers a full rack of seedlings, so I can fit multiple trays underneath there, but I'll be curious to see how well it performs and if it actually justifies the higher price tag. And lastly, for environment number 5, we're going to go with the Vivosun VS1000. And if you saw my Grow Light Olympics video a year ago, this was the winner from that experiment. And since then, I've been lucky enough to start working with the Vivosun team, so they sponsored this video. And part of the reason why is because this grow light, it only has 2,600 reviews. And from a cost perspective, was only $95. So from that perspective, it is the underdog in this experiment, but I've absolutely loved growing with it over the course of the last year. Now, just before we fast forward for our first update, there's 3 things that you might be wondering about: duration, temperature, and light intensity. So in terms of duration, I've plugged all of the grow lights into my automatic timers so they turn on for 12 hours per day. Now in terms of temperature, I've put one of my Vivosun space heaters in my downstairs area where both of the racks are, and I've set it to 22 Celsius or about 75 Fahrenheit, and it'll keep the temperature exactly in that range for both environments. And lastly, intensity. And this is the most important one. See, I'm not going to go into any of the specifications or the tech specs on any of these lights, because the only thing that matters to me is which one grows the best seedlings. So last thing I want to do today is go around with my PAR meter to get readings on each of the different environments. And for context, for seedlings to thrive, the light intensity needs to be in the range of 200 to 800 ppfd. All right, so starting with environment number 1, let's go directly in the middle here. I'm getting a reading of only 58 ppfd. So that is below that 200 minimum that we're looking for. Now, environment number 2, really interesting how you can see the light super intense here and already not being able to make it out to here. Let's see how intense it is right in the middle there. So now we're up to, holy cow, really high, 1200 ppfd. So that's really, really high. Over here, we're out to only 4950. So the spread in this environment is really, really low. Curious to see how that's gonna pan out. Okay, environment number 3 under our BARRINA grow lights, and we are right at 226, 225. That's really like right in the sweet spot of where we want to be. Okay, now environment number 4 under the Mars Hydro one, and we are at, right now we're at 1300 ppfd. But this one actually has an adjusting knob, so I'm able to decrease the intensity to exactly what I want it to be. So I'm going to adjust it to about 700 ppfd to get started. Okay, now environment number 5, the Vivosun grow light. Let's see where we're at. So at max intensity, we're currently at about 1400. That is far too high. And with this one, it's actually a knob that only allows me to choose between different intensities. So let's go down one. That brings us to 1100. Let's go down the next one. We're now at 820, 830. We'll go to the next one. Now we're down to 445. So I'm actually gonna go up to the 800 one here, and just keep that consistent with the Mars Hydro one. I'm gonna increase the intensity on it up to about 800 as well. All right, so all the environments are now set. The experiment is underway, and I think it's so interesting that all these grow lights have such amazing reviews out there, thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. And we're seeing such a huge significant difference in terms of those PAR readings and the intensity coming off of the lights. So let's now fast forward for our first update to see what impact that's having on the growth of the plants. All right, so we are now 14 days in. All the environments have successfully germinated. So let's do a quick update on how each of them are performing. So environment number 1, this is the Goong environment here, or Gong, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. And as we can see, these are looking really, really spindly and leggy, tons of stem, no new foliage on them to start with, really like desperately trying to get up to the light here. Now for environment number 2, this is super interesting. Take a look at the broccoli plant here. Definitely way more growth than in environment number 1. But what's most interesting to me about this environment is, as you can see, there's basically like no germination in the middle here. But then these 4 on the outside, I'd say have definitely germinated the best. And the reason why is because the light is so intense here that it's been drying up the seedling mix, versus out here, it's staying a little bit more moist. Now just quickly, I did end up adding a couple journals just to prop the seed tray up a little bit, so there's a little bit closer to the grow lights here. And what we can see is that this environment has germinated really well. The broccoli, the lettuce, and the tomatoes, really nice germination across the board. And what we're also seeing are the first actual true leaves beginning to develop on these plants. So I'd say that these are in a much better place than environment 1 and environment 2. Now this is way more along the lines of what we want to be seeing and what's possible with grow lights. So we've seen really good germination in the broccoli, the lettuce, and the tomatoes. And the bigger thing, right, is that nothing is looking leggy whatsoever, and the plants are truly going towards true leaf development. And this environment is also looking really, really good. So really great germination for the broccoli, lettuce, and tomatoes. Interestingly, again, the middle one here for this environment and the Mars Hydro one both germinated way quicker than the 2 outside environments for the lettuce. And then in terms of legginess, not seeing any whatsoever. And as we can see as well, like really nice leaf development here. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, Jordan, this experiment is not fair because some of those grow lights should be closer to the seedlings. And so let's dissect this for a second. So the first part is I've kept all of them at 6 inches because that is the most consistent from one environment to the next. And the rationale from my side is that if I started having all the grow lights at different heights, it wouldn't be consistent. And you could also make the argument that, hey, you're biasing it for this particular light or that particular light. I wanted to get a baseline of how they perform with as many equal variables as possible. But I do also believe that some of the first environments would perform a bit better if they were closer to the grow lights. So let's dig into that just a little bit more. So for environment number 1, I've got my PAR meter here, and let's say that I put the grow lights just 1 inch away. Well, what we can see now is that I am at 300 in and around that range. So I do think they would grow better there, but there's only 2 bars. So the one in the middle, well, now we're down to like 6, 7, 11. hardly any light whatsoever. So these ones would then massively struggle if I had them that close. Now for environment number 2, again, in the middle, I'm already at 2000 ppfd. So this is already like way too high for what it should be. If anything, I should move this one further away, but in my experience, when I move the grow light further away than 6 inches, the plants stop growing as well, so I'd be hesitant to do so. Now, environment 3, the BARRINA grow lights, I think has the most potential. So if I'm about 1 inch away, then as we can see, I'm getting a reading of about 340 ppfd, and there are 4 bars, so there aren't any gaps between them. So that's a good starting point. The issue that I have with these is that I literally was given zap straps to attach them to something. In this instance, the rack above them. And so I can't just be raising and lowering them easily, which is why I had to build things up with multiple boxes and journals to get them into a height that's close enough. But even from there, what's gonna happen once both the tomatoes and the broccoli end up going, 3-4 inches taller than the lettuce? Now I would basically need to be pulling these up 3 or 4 inches somehow on their own, which just sounds really frustrating to me. But then with the Mars Hydro and the Vivosun grow lights, because the light is so much stronger and you've got the pulley system, you create this way bigger buffer for your seedlings to be thriving within. So now they don't have to be just 1 inch away from the grow light. It's intense enough that you've got a much larger zone, which ultimately just ends up making it a lot easier for you to get thriving seedlings. Now, with that being said, if you want me to do a follow-up experiment with these grow lights and I put them at the height that I think they'll do the absolute best at for each individual light, let me know down in the comments, because I'd be also very interested and curious to see the results on that. Now, with that all being said, let's now fast forward a couple more weeks for our final results to see which grow lights perform best. All right, so we are now 30 days in, and it is time for us to go through our final results, each of the different environments. And I'm so glad that I've ran this experiment, because 6 years ago, I bought a few grow lights that had thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews and got absolutely terrible results. So I hope that the results that we're about to go through help save you some time, some money, and ultimately just help you get even better results from day one. So let's begin diving in, and let's get started with environment number 1, the Going LED grow light. And as we can see here, absolutely miserable results. And this is very similar to the grow light that I bought 6 years ago, and I got similar results to this at that point in time. So how this grow light has tens of thousands of 5-star reviews, I have no idea. If for whatever reason you were to move forward with it, all that I would recommend doing is just putting your light source directly on top of the foliage or the canopy, literally less than 1 inch away. There's zero risk of them getting burnt. That's the only way that I think you could get it to maybe work, but even still, I don't think you'd be seeing nearly as much growth as what you're gonna see a little bit later on in this experiment. Now, let's move on to environment number 2, the Sansi grow light. And what we can see here is definitely more growth than environment number 1. The lettuce doesn't look terrible. The tomatoes are looking okay, but as I've been thinking about it, I just don't think that this is a great grow light for seedlings or flower seedlings that you're gonna be moving into the garden. It's only that one bulb, so it's so focused and isolated, kind of like a spotlight on one area. I just don't think it's a great use case for starting vegetable seeds or flower seeds that are gonna end up in the garden. So that's my thoughts on environment number 2. Now, moving on to environment number 3, the BARRINA LED grow light. And this is the first one that I'd say is acceptable in terms of how well the plants have grown. The lettuce is looking okay. It's a little bit long, a little bit leggy, but not bad. And then the tomatoes and the broccoli are in a pretty good place. So if you do want to move forward with the BARRINA grow light, I will include a link in the description of this video so that you can grab yours. And the biggest recommendation that I can make to you is to also keep your seedlings in that environment really glued to the grow light. Go even closer than 6 inches. I'm talking 1 to 2 inches away. And do note that you will need to use a bunch of boxes and books to prop your seed cells up and then remove them as the plants grow. So a little bit of extra work that you have to do on that front, but again, getting pretty good results with it. But now let's take a look at environment number 4, the Mars Hydro grow light. And guys, this is what's possible with a good and strong enough grow light. Honestly, any of the 3 previous environments, even if you had that foliage nearly touching the grow light tubes, I still don't think that they would grow as big as the ones in this environment because the light is just that much more powerful. So I am absolutely thrilled with these results. If you want to get your hands on the Mars Hydro Grow Light, you can do so at the link in the description of this video. And of course, the only big downside with this grow light was that it cost me more than $300. So now for our last environment, let's look at the Vivosun VS1000. And check this out. Honestly, like nearly identical growth to that Mars Hydro Grow Light. All of these are absolutely thriving, and this has been the case anytime that I've been utilizing this grow light over the course of the season. And the best part is that this one only cost me $100, so a third of the Mars Hydro price. And on top of that, the Vivosun team actually gave me an additional 10% discount code. So if you head to the link in the description of this video or scan the QR code on the screen and use the code MINDANDSOIL at checkout, you'll get an additional 10% off your order. So ultimately, the most important thing is that you go with the grow light that feels best for you. And my hope is really just that in this experiment and all of the experiments I've done over the years, it really just helps save you some time and some money and get even better, happier, thriving seedlings like this earlier on in your growing career. So that's everything for today's experiment video. Hope that you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel because I've got more than 10 additional experiment videos that are already filmed and going to be published over the course of the coming months. So I'll catch you on one of those videos. See you then.